All right, here we go. Episode 13. Lucky 13? Unlucky 13? Who knows? We drew the Untouchables this week. Have you ever watched the movie or the TV show of the Untouchables, Josh?
I watched the movie. I didn't watch the TV show.
I don't think I watched the movie. I'm almost positive I didn't, or I've completely forgot I have. I do remember the TV show. I may be wrong. I think it was on Fox. It's one of them channels that you only got if the weather was right, and it looked
you had
cool.
to turn the antenna a certain
Yeah,
way.
for some reason it was either that, the time slot. It kind of looked cool, but never really got to watch it. Never got to follow it. But we get to live it out right here, So I'm just going to give you a little summary. This is the back of the box. Definitely not as much as the last 2 or 3 weeks. It felt like I've read a novel, but here we go. Put Scarface in his place! Exclamation point. The mob has blown into Windy City. They're counterfeiting on the west side, gun running on the wharf, gangland style bashing on the streets of downtown. Scarface and his band of trigger-happy heavies have turned Little Italy into a bullet-riddled underworld. Only you, Elliot Ness, and the Untouchables can stop Capone before he seizes control of all of Chicago.
Okay.
Kind of to the point.
Very to the point. Seems entertaining.
Now, I don't know this because I ain't watched the show or whatnot, but maybe, they could have said, hey, what is an untouchable? Maybe something like that. Hey, as the Untouchables, a band of, mob hunt. I don't even know that's what.
Detectives.
Yeah.
They were detectives and police officers.
That specialize in mobster activities.
That's the thing.
Only you can take down.
They were the best in the business for what they did. They were like Wide Earp and all them.
But I guess you probably weren't going to play this game if you hadn't ever heard of the movie or the show.
Nope.
Ocean published and developed this. So Ocean, they hung their hat on making these licensed games. I mean, some of the other games that Ocean did, so this is par for the course. Some really good ones, some okay ones and bad ones, but, they did Jurassic Park, Cool World, Batman, Addams Family, Lethal Weapon, Knight Rider, RoboCop, Top Gun. So, they definitely are like, hey, let's buy the license to some popular movies. And they may have had a few that's not, but that's really what they were doing.
I thought they'd done No Escape.
They may have. I
can't remember, but I think I don't know if they did or not. But
well, I know Sony, I think, had something to do with No Escape. But either way, these guys were basically making movies, games after movies, and as that comes, at least in today's age, most of the time that means they suck, with the occasional gem in there. So the game came out, and just so you know, I guess it was released on both the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, but the Nintendo version was released in 1991, and the Super Nintendo was released in 1994. Why would you say there's 3 years difference, Josh? Because one was a movie and one was the TV show. So
makes sense.
The 91 one, even though I think you're probably, the reviews on both of these are probably par for the course. The one in 1991 was based off the Kevin Costner movie, where the 1994 one was based off the TV show, in which the only person I think I can remember, and I may be wrong, was Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries. I felt like was the guy, Elliot Ness.
No.
I could be wrong, but I feel I've seen him in the movie or the show somewhere along the line, because I'm like, hey, it's Unsolved Mystery, dude. So basically, as the game says, this is basic, it's going to be, going out and hunting the mob down. They have broke this up. One thing that makes this different than a lot of the other games is it allows you to choose your assignment. So it's kind of like you're choosing the level you want to play.
Yeah.
And so basically, the game's going to start up. It's going to show you 3 mobsters or untouchables. You can't really tell who they are. You probably just one and the same, just on the other side of the law. And then, of course, the gunfire goes through the untouchables.
Yep.
And then, first thing's kind of weird, just kind of getting into the game without getting into the review part. This first thing it does then is it makes you go to this audio menu, which was a little strange.
It was extremely weird because I wasn't expecting that at all.
I mean, I expect you to make me. I appreciate if somebody made the time to make a menu to at least have you explore it.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of weird. It's like sound effects, and music, no music, and it's just like it was strange. But so basically, one thing that sets this game apart is you got 5 assignments, and all 5 of them. I ain't gonna say all 5, but there's basically, I don't know, I'd say 3 basic gameplays that they put in here. So basically, assignment 1 is let me see where I had this.
Assignment 1 was like downtown shooting.
That was it.
Downtown shootout or something like that.
The second one was the counterfeit mission. The third one was gun run. The fourth one was the courthouse, and the fifth one was locked. It was Alfonso Capone.
Yeah.
And access was denied. But basically, the way I would think of this is you had, kind of different. Most games you're either going to get a platformer, or you're going to get a shoot 'em up, or a beat 'em up,
or a side scroller,
or a top down. You kind of got 3 different games into one. The first one was basically
gallery shooting.
Yeah, that's
Duck
it. Gallery,
hunt.
Yes.
Duck hunt gallery style shooting.
So you had a shootout where you were basically in these back alleys shooting mobsters. Kind of like Lethal Enforcer style, but probably not as cool. You reload your gun. You could take cover, shoot these mobsters, what have you. The counterfeit mission, I think, was the only one that was kind of like a platformer.
Yeah.
And then you had the courthouse was one where it was top down. Kind of, I mean, to be honest, what it reminded me of a lot of was some of the top-down RPGs, like, maybe not graphically as good as, like, Secret of Mana or Legend of Zelda or, like, Secret of Evermore, but that type of view.
It was that type of top-down.
Yes. And so that was kind of one thing that did set this apart a little bit. And so, but the basic gist of the game is you work your way through to unlock yourself into basically Al Capone. And
well, you forgot to explain the other mission, the run and gun. It was another shooter gallery-esque type.
Yes,
little better than the first one.
So, and so basically the whole object of this game is it's to take down the mob, basically. But they held their hat on Elliot Ness being a hero, which I'm assuming that's who we are in this game, and Al Capone being the big bad guy.
That's what I would take from it, too.
Which I would think that when you're mentioning mob, you can't not mention Al Capone. I mean, maybe you put in some John Gotti, Al Capone. Like,
if you think mobster, you think Al Capone, you think of Scarface. Like, you think of these big, iconic style mobsters and or movies that are based around certain people, like The Godfather. Like, that's all mobster era, too.
Yeah, I feel safe to say. It's like saying, hey, name a president. You're probably going to say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. Like, you're going to hit the big ones. This guy's one of those big ones. Yeah, he's a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, he's a top tier. Easy.
So, I think that's basically the whole breakdown of the game. Is there anything that I missed on that, Josh?
No.
Well, I guess...
no, that's it. I mean, me personally, I'm not real big into the whole mobster era.
Yeah.
So, that's it. The game, like I said, I watched the movie because my friend said, dude, it's a cult classic. It's a good one. All right, I'll go ahead and tell you this. I'll piss off a lot of people. I hate The Godfather. I hate all 3 of them. I think they're the worst movies on the planet.
I never watched them. And even though I have watched the movie, and it's okay at best, I think Scarface is far overrated.
Yeah, Scarface. I mean, it has its moments where it's
If I want to watch a drug movie that I'm going to enjoy, I want to watch, like, Blow or something like that.
I'm going to watch Boondock Saints
right.
as a mobster movie because it's modern day and it's Hell's Kitchen. So, I mean, I like that.
But this was basically, at this time, to me, I think you probably had, like, the guys that like watching their westerns growing up. This was their western, right?
Yeah, it was a modern day western.
Because there was a lot of shows that were kind of similar to this, and I do remember the show being very hyped. I was shocked to see. I think it only went on for between 93 and 94, which is why the release of this was at the end of the Super Nintendo life cycle. But I remember it getting a lot of advertisement. I guess it just wasn't that good. I couldn't speak on the movie because, like I say, if I watched it, I cannot remember one thing, unless that is where I've seen Robert Stack as Elliot Ness.
I mean, if you think about it now, they made a Lethal Weapon TV show.
hey, I'm just going to say I've not watched it, but I'm awful excited about watching the Night Court TV show or the Quantum Leap, the remake.
The remake of Quantum Leap's good, but the Lethal Weapon TV show has Sean William Scott, Stifler from American Pie,
Right.
and one of the Wayans.
One of the 3,000 Wayans.
One of the many Wayans out there.
All right. So we're going to jump in here to what makes this game. So I'm just going to be pretty blunt. I got a short list.
I have a short list as well.
Maybe a short podcast on this one. One thing that I guess I'll say makes this game is there's a variety of games to play. You know, and
that's number one on my list. There's the multiple different styles of gaming that was popular in that era in one game, which was cool.
So, I will say, if you look at the back of a box and you could determine what kind of game it was, if you hated that game, you were stuck with it. This game give you different options, at least, I guess. I don't think to me it really mattered a whole lot, but I could see if you were like, hey, I'm really bad at the shooting one or the platforming one. And that's one thing, too, I guess, that I had down on my list was getting to choose your mission, because I can just imagine setting in 1994 and maybe I was good at the platformer and the top down.
And terrible at the shooter.
Terrible at the shooter. If my brother was like taking a shower or he had something to do, I could play the missions I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then say, hey, come play these and try to help me get it unlocked. So there was a variety of play. I guess overall the customization would be group all that together. You could pick which stages you wanted to play. Now, obviously, you had to play them all to get to the final stage, but you got to choose in what order you wanted to do that. Of course, it forced you on how you wanted to listen to the music. You got to choose your mission. So
it was really neat with the menu the options menu being prompt if you wanted the sound effects, music, both, none. So I did like that. That was really neat, really unique, I think, personally. And I can't say enough about the game is that I did like the aspect that they try to incorporate the three biggest gameplays of that era. So, I mean, that was really cool. And I think it was done relatively well, the way they done it.
Yeah. For the most part, the controls weren't that bad. I mean, they were okay, but
there was no lag for mine on my emulator.
Yeah.
So I mean, I enjoyed that they were crisp in movement and everything.
But I think probably, and this is going to be probably the best thing I got to say about it. I've got an opinion, and then one that here that I think the game flowed pretty good as a mobster game. Like when you beat the game or beat the level or you died, it would pop out like a newspaper blowing up against or a newspaper article like, oh, Ness's guys have foiled, or Ness fell short, Capone runs wild. Yeah. Like that was what I would expect from a game and the TV show and a movie like this. It was kind of very, what would you call it, like noir or
noir.
It was kind of like gritty cop show. So that was definitely, newspapers would have been a big deal. I bet you in every episode of that TV show, I bet they're flipping up a newspaper to see what's happened.
Oh yeah,
and like so,
at least twice in the TV show.
So it did have the continuity there that I thought was pretty good. It wasn't nothing earth shattering, but that's probably about the best thing I have to say about it. Other than, in my opinion, the counterfeit mission that was kind of like a platformer, that was the best one to me.
I agreed, 100%.
Like that was the most fun stage, and not to give too much away, it wasn't really that fun, but that was the better of the worst. And
so if I had to choose, it had been platformer, top down, and then shooter gallery. Would literally been my ranking on the stages.
Yes, I agree with that. And, so the platforming stage was the strongest. Who's to say if they would have focused on making this more of a platformer and not trying to throw the extra stuff in, maybe it would have been better, maybe not. Who knows? But if I can tell you, if you play this game, you pop it in there. And first of all, I'd probably tell you, there's other games to try than this. But play the platformer, the assignment 2. If you don't enjoy that, you're not going to enjoy the
No,
rest
absolutely not. Yeah, play assignment 2 first, hands down.
And I'm not going to mix any words. That's all the good stuff I got to say about it, Josh.
That's all. Yeah, I mean, you had one more than I did, so
I feel like it was like a dead horse. I just didn't want to keep kicking it over there, but yeah, it was definitely. As far as we're talking about this being episode 13, I feel like it is definitely unlucky 13.
It's the unlucky 13, by far.
So, sadly enough, probably world record time of Make It section. The Break It section. I really don't have a whole lot for it, too, because what was bad was really bad.
Was terrible.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, the first thing I noticed right off the bat is the whole game felt cheap. Like, from the moment it started up to, let's just dumb this down. Could you imagine playing, it was a select a level game. So, you picked your assignment. Okay, so you locked one thing. Can you imagine if you played Mario Brothers, but you just went in there and picked what stages you wanted to play? It's kind of boring if you did it that way. That is exactly what this game was. So,
I give it that. I give you that. And another thing that I didn't really like about it is, if you don't know anything about mobsters, if you had no idea who Alphonse Capone is, which we all call him Al Capone, who done the Valentine's Day Massacre, I know a little bit of the history. If you don't know who he is, you would never know. You think he'd be an fictional character, right? I mean...
Okay, well, let me tie this in, because I got one thing, because you've hit my number 2 thing. So, talking about this game feeling cheap, my notes is the music, graphics, and everything sucks on this. The music was god-awful.
The music was terrible.
The graphics were probably worse. Like, we're talking about a 1994 game. Go look at the 1991 game, and I can understand a 1991 Nintendo game. This was 94. You've already had your Star Foxes and all these games.
Marios. Like, you had the abilities to make a graphically pleasing game in that era.
Now, there were... I think Commodore 64, there was other games or other systems this was released for. It was like if you took a Commodore top the graphics and applied them to the Super Nintendo. I mean, yeah, when you knew, knowing this is a mobster movie, you don't really think about it like, oh, that's a guy pointing a gun or whatever.
Yeah.
If you actually stop and look at these pixelated dudes, they're god awful. They're horrible. It's not even clear what they are.
They remind me of the traditional Metroid game of how blocky they were.
Yeah, it was very bad. It was I'm guessing Ocean's just and I don't know if this is an actual thing either because I don't know anything about licensing. I kind of feel like I'm sure you had to license the movie and you probably had to license the TV show, but I can completely understand saying, hey, we've got this licensed movie with Kevin Costner in it. Let's make a game. Cool. And then everybody over there at Ocean going, well, it was a good run, guys. Super Nintendo's pretty much dead. We're going to have to find something. Wait, they're making a TV show? Don't we have that license? I felt like they had that license, and I'm sure it doesn't work that way. And they're like, let's throw a hot pile of garbage out here and try to make a cash grab.
Yeah, well, let's make a money pot. That's what we're trying to do.
Because I would just assume that if you made this game in '94 and the way this game is, that late in the cycle and how bad this game is, in my opinion, that you would have completely lost your butt by the time you bought a license for the second time. Of course, I don't know anything about licensing, once again. But
to me, the way this game felt and looked seemed like it would have been a solid 90s era game. I'm talking about 90s era, 90 to 91, I think is where the graphics and the gameplay would have resided. Like I said, I think with them saying that, oh shit, we have that license. That's exactly what you said. That's what it felt like. Is they released a TV show. Let's quickly make a game.
Yes.
And I don't know how long this game took to make. To me, personally, I'm not a game designer or anything like that, but back in the day,
I felt like we could have locked ourselves in Friday night and my Saturday afternoon came up with this game. And that may be unfair, but that's the way this game felt because it was cheap.
With watching YouTube tutorials and building this game from scratch, I'd say, yeah, I could believe that. If not a weekend, a week.
So, I mean, it's one thing. We've played games where The graphics have been great, and everything else sucked, and the controls. The controls were probably the better thing that they had because the music was horrible.
So my biggest complaint about the controls is on the damn shooter gallery. All right, playing games now, you customize your sensitivity to be faster, to get those whip shots. I beat the top down. I beat the platformer stage. I could not, for the life of me, win a shooter gallery.
All right. Let's put a little asterisk next to shooter gallery because that's my number 3. You're getting one step ahead of me.
Just saying.
I know we're gonna have a whole section over the shooter gallery.
Because
without even speaking to you about this, I know that if you told me the shooter gallery was the strongest part, then you get the hell off this podcast because we can't talk. Let's go to.
I'm no longer allowed over at your house.
So here's the number 2 thing that I have that you mentioned. There is no story in this game.
Yeah, no.
Now, mind you, when you look at this game, I'm pretty sure you're not picking this up unless you were a fan of the movie or the TV show. And
you were wanting to play as Kevin Costner.
And to be honest, like I say, I don't know if it was the time slot, the channel. I was a decent age. I could have handled this in 94, but I don't know if the TV show wasn't. It may not have been that good. Like I say, there's been a lot of stuff happened since then, so I can't really remember to speak about in the day.
A lot of booze has been consumed.
Could you imagine if your parents was like, "Oh, Untouchables," oh, my kid likes to play cops and robbers or whatever.
Yeah.
And let me buy him this game. Like, you would have no idea what the hell you're doing because there is no story. And to be honest, even though the intro where I read the back of the box seemed like a lot, there was a very large font. There was not a whole lot of words on the back compared to most of these other games. So you're absolutely correct. Going up to the last stage where they call him Alphonse or whatever. Capone, you would think, Capone. I'm guessing Al Capone was probably trademarked or for some reason they couldn't use it or he...
Well, no, his real name was Alphonse.
I know, but you would think, why would you call him Alphonse? We're talking about a Super Nintendo game. Why don't you just call him Al? I feel like there's a reason. But, I guess maybe if you're a true mobster hater...
You had to use all those pixels, man. You had to use all those polygons.
Maybe if you were an Untouchable, you didn't want to give him the satisfaction of calling him
the cool nickname.
But I will. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But yes, but there is no story. If you had no idea what Untouchables was, and I just put you you didn't see
know who Al Capone was.
Now, with that being said, when they start up the game, I mean, you kind of get the idea that it's a mobster scene. But maybe if I put you in the if you didn't get to see the startup, you didn't get to see the cover art, and I put you in the shooting gallery, stage 1, you'd be like, this is like a crappy Gunsmoke Western game.
Yeah.
And you're like, why are they wearing funny hats? Like, you would not be able to, I don't think I would put together that it's a mobster game.
No.
I think in the platformer stage, I would have figured it out because you had money and
Tommy guns and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I don't know, even on the top down, that I could do that. But if you didn't see any of the cut scenes or the intros and outros, I don't know that you could necessarily, with the platformer stage, I think would give it away, but you would have to work on trying to figure out what kind of game you're playing. Yeah.
You had to use that higher brain power to piece things together.
So since you brought up number 3, I'm going to go into here, and this is my biggest flaw with this game. I'm going to read my quote word for word that I've got here, and then we're just going to go off on probably an hour long of how bad this is. Shooting mode, the
shooting gallery.
Yeah, the shooting gallery is bullshit. Controls are a mess. Hard to control. Aim, hide, move, shoot, aim, reload. Foe meter is shit. Should have just been a level counter, like a level countdown, like you're this far through the level.
Yeah.
Characters and their animations, they're not bad. They're lazy. The heads up was horrible. And every now and then you'd pick up a power up and your heads up and start flashing, which was crap because it was really nothing that you needed other than some time or health. But if you looked up there to see what was flashing or you tried to see how many shells you had in your shotgun or whatever, you were going to die. So it was like the whole thing was a train wreck. It wasn't like, they missed on this and it affected it. I have nothing good to say. So to put it in perspective, it's a shooting gallery, but you literally have a shotgun. Now there's one where you have a Tommy gun, but let's just say most of it you got a shotgun. You got 2 shots.
You got 2 shots. You're using a double barrel.
So imagine playing like Area 51 or Lethal Enforcers, but you only get 2 shots each time before you got to reload. Then you got to like take cover. There's way more enemies. It's just and then
dynamite at you.
And then your aim with the D-pad. Now, when I say the enemies pop up, like you can play Lethal Enforcers with a control stick, just like this for the Super Nintendo. And even though it's not the same as using like a light gun or something, it's still serviceable. This is barely serviceable.
Yeah, no, like I said, your sensitivity is so dog shit that it's ridiculous.
I think you would say that just the way these enemies are set up and the distancing and stuff, I would say even in today's age, using a mouse, it probably still sucks.
It would.
Like I mean, it is god awful, and that's just the basic part of it.
Yeah.
Like you can't even enjoy the gameplay because it's not, the controls are decently crisp for what they're trying to do, which means they really nailed, in my opinion. It's like this is what they wanted to happen.
Yeah.
And like, who said this was a good idea?
Yeah,
like, it wasn't like something's broken and it ruined
I agree.
Once again.
The only way this shooter gallery could have gotten even more maddening is if they added the down dog from Duck Hunt that would laugh at you.
I'd probably enjoy that because I at least have a fond memory or two of that game. You know, I have none of this game.
Yeah, like, I mean, because you got 2 shots. Like, it'd be funny if he would pop up whenever you tried to shoot a 3rd fucking shell, because you're so used to having at least, in any shooter game now, you have at minimum 8 shots for a shotgun.
I just came up with an excellent question for close for you, Josh. This is just right off the hip right here. So, this is hard-hitting podcasting at its finest right here.
I mean, this shooter gallery was atrocious. Like,
and I hate that.
Like, I said, everything else, the controls were great. The platforming, the top-down, so that all worked good. Even the shooter gallery of the Tommy gun, I never once completed those levels because either A, I would have died due to dynamite, or B, I ran out of time because I'm trying to track how to aim and everything like that. Like, it was the worst.
And so this was kind of my thing. And it's pretty fast paced, I guess, once you get out there. And I was kind of like, okay, maybe this is cool because you actually get to control your guy going left and right. The weird part was it was the R and L button.
It was the bumpers, which was stupid.
Yeah, and I kind of get why they did that. It's like, but just because they're there don't mean you have to use them. Yeah. Sometimes you save more with less. I could have just used the left and right like a normal person would have.
Well, yeah, but left and right controlled your aiming.
Right.
It was like
I guess you're right.
It's like they were trying they were like a little too advanced with the aiming for what it was. Because any other game, if you want to aim, you zoom in. You hold your L trigger or L1 button or whatever, and you aim in, and your dude stops moving. Mm-hmm. And you use your D-pad or your analog stick or whatever to move and aim. So it would have been fine if you could still use the D-pad for left and right to move and say you hit the L or R trigger and you could aim that way. That would have been cool.
Hey, just so you know, I've got some reviews from back in the day when this game comes out. And even back then, somebody made a suggestion that would have probably fixed the shooting gallery.
Okay.
And it's like easy today saying what we should have did. But I'm like, this guy,
was
son of a bitch. You should hire him. Ocean should have hired him right there on the spot if they weren't about to get absorbed. But we'll get into that later.
I'm hoping he was ahead of his time.
He was. I don't know if he was ahead of his time or he just used common sense. But yeah, everything in it. And then on top of that, so in any of these games that you play that's a shooting gallery style. And I mean, I think when shooting gallery, I'm thinking arcade games. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah,
like
arcade shooters, virtual
House
call.
of the Dead.
Yeah, House of the virtual call.
So in any of these, your typical enemy, how many times do you have to shoot them to kill them? Normally, one time, right? So
it depends on the shooter gallery. Like if you go to the nowadays movies and you play the Terminator shooter game, it takes a lot. But yeah, the original virtual
in '94, I bet that.
One bullet.
Okay.
Easy. One, maybe 2.
Yeah, you get the boss battles. Okay, I get that. But what killed me was up there, it would say your health, and then it would say foe. And every time you shot one of them, the foe meter went down a little bit. And I'm like, why didn't you just, I mean,
Give me a counter.
I would have rather myself had a level meter showing your progress going through, maybe even a damn save point in there, or like a progress point, not a save point, but put it at the bottom where my guy is. Maybe just a little colored bar that's going across. So the whole time I'm sitting up here looking like, what in the hell is this foe thing? So it made me feel like I was like, when you see foe, and I said there's a power meter, you're going to say, oh, I'm shooting one guy 12 times trying to kill him. Now, that's not, obviously, you figure out that's not what it is. But even that part, the heads up was so damn lazy.
Yeah. Give me a counter. If you said I needed to kill 20 foes to complete this mission, instead of doing a meter where if you shoot one, it takes a 20th of that meter, no. Put 20 up there. I shoot one, drop it to 19. Shoot another one, drop it to 18.
Completely cool with that. Completely
that
cool.
Would have been great.
You could have even, when the stage starts in the loadout, say 15 of these guys, 4 of these, and question mark. Or something like that. And I'd be like, all right. And you know what? I would have probably enjoyed it. Because while I'm watching somebody play it, I'm going to be over here like, oh, you killed 7 of those. Like, I mean, it would give me a reason to
watch. Question mark. Maybe it means shoot the dynamite as it's flying at you.
You never
know. Who knows?
I mean, maybe it could just be a car that pulls up, but whatever. That's besides the point.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, none of the levels I thought were great. But by God, this shooting gallery was I will tell you, if I had to play shooting gallery or Roger Clemens baseball, which I think is one of the worst abominations of sports games I've ever played, I don't know that I'm having to think about
this. Bass Bros in it, man.
Well, I know. Well, they just suck and they kind of tried a little bit. I don't think they even tried in this.
No, this was a cash grab. This is all this was a cash grab.
So, all right, I've got to leave the shooting gallery. The other parts of the game was not great, but they paled in comparison to the shooting gallery. So I feel like I don't even have a lot of energy to talk about the other game modes because, I mean, the little run and gun platformer, it was still bad.
But it was better of the 4.
Yes, it was.
That's the thing. It was the lesser of the evils.
And even the shooting gallery where you got like the Tommy gun or the automatic weapon, a little more palatable than a 2-shot shotgun.
But still not great.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it was still bad.
Yeah, still not great at all.
And then the top down, I just wasn't even interested in that. I mean, it did not do anything for me. It didn't tip any scales.
It was very neutral. It was just a neutral style top down.
I felt like this was an episode of Survivor, and there was 4 people in the elimination, and you're like, all 4 of them are getting eliminated, and you're okay with that.
Yeah.
So
I had hopes for the top down because I'm a Legend of Zelda fan, so I know those are by far those are going to be the peak of mine top down games. But I was hoping like it had some reminiscence of like a top down Turok or something like that, but it didn't. Like the top down was just. Again, like use your words, it was lazy.
That was exactly it. So, and then on top of each stage having glaring problems, there was so many multiple levels to each stage. Like say, shooting gallery, good luck. Maybe I made it past the first one time. It just didn't tip any needles. The platformer I kind of enjoyed for a minute until I realized it was really bad too. The top down, but once you beat a level, you went to stage 2 or mission 2.
It was like a boss-ish level.
Well, there was like 4, 5, 6 missions to each assignment. Yeah. And it was like, oh, that's so great. You gave me multiple levels of this shitty game to play. Like, how bad of a game do you have to be for me to say, you know what? What would have made this game better is only playing one of those missions on each assignment. Let me play these 5, 6 missions and quit this game and be done with it. Like, you want a game like Zelda that you're like, oh, there's more to do. Or even Super Putty, where you're like, oh, what's the next level going to hold? You're like, to me, I'm like,
which random enemies is there going to be another space ninja, or is there going to be a sausage with a fork through it?
I would rather, I was just sitting here thinking, oh my God, there's a second level. Oh my God, there's a third level. Like, I was ready at each. I was just wanting it to end.
I agree.
Josh, I would rather played a game that was like Flappy Bird with spikes. Or the damn Crazy Mario game with all the
impossible levels.
Yes, yeah. I would rather play it with nothing but spikes. And you know how I feel about spikes. I would have a ball playing that before playing this game.
I agree with you. Like I said, the only thing I partially enjoyed was the platformer. So that was literally the best thing that they done. And even then, like I said, it was terrible.
So, and the one thing I noticed in the platformer that pissed me off is this game is very big over the timers. So the power-ups were basically, in the platformer, I think you could get automatic weapons, but it was like health, which kind of looked like a generic little pizza box with a plus on it.
Yeah.
And you could get your clock to add time. So I'm going through this platformer. I'm kind of enjoying myself a little bit. I'm like, oh man, I run in this area. Oh, I see, here's the boxes. Let's jump up them. And next thing I know, it's like, bam, time's up. And I'm like, why?
I barely started. The time was like 30 seconds. Like, it wasn't nothing.
Now, I get it having, maybe, in my opinion, maybe you had one stage where you had to hurry through. But I'm like, as bad as this game is, if I want to take my time and move through it, why are you punishing me for that?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you knew this game was so bad. Let's hurry up and get you the hell through it before you notice how bad it is. But that pissed me off. I'm like, I can't even enjoy the platformer part of this because heaven forbid I stop for a second. Or
try not to take damage, or anything. But also at the same time, like I said, the shooter galleries, but I hate to go back to that dead horse, but I have to on this. The shooter gallery timer was 30 seconds. Okay? So during that 30 seconds, in any shooter game that you play nowadays, we're desensitized to taking damage. It's like they wanted you to stand in the open, take damage, to shoot people to build your time back up. And in the shooter and the platformer was like the same way. They wanted you to take damage to progress it at the same time to get your time.
Right.
So it feels like this game was designed for you to take the damage that you needed, but not take too much damage, but you got to take enough to be able to keep going.
I feel like when you say I hate to go back to the shooting gallery, I think that's a testament that even though we're telling you how bad it is, it's not doing it justice on how bad it is.
No, it's not.
Like it is bad. And when the more you think about it, and one of the things I've got marked down here is I hated everything about this game. Any remote positive I tried to get would have 15 glaring negatives. Now, I don't think I have any glaring negatives because the negatives are monster. Like, there's like the game is the negative.
Yeah,
like
the game itself is the negative. That's 100% true.
So that's just the one thing, like trying to find stuff that was good with this game. I mean, because there's a lot of bad games that has some cool aspects or that are kind of fun. And so then the last thing to top it off was the bosses. I will tip a little hat. The final boss, now I didn't make it to him, but I seen it was Alphonse Capone. And it was more of a shooting gallery game where you chase him through 5 or 6 damn stages. But it was only you versus him. That would have been more fun. I didn't like having to shoot 27 different enemies because it was so hard.
Dynamite.
Yes. And it was shooting gallery style. So literally the Capone level where you hiding behind a brick wall and you timed it when he would shoot to duck down and you took cover. And that was remotely cool. Probably cool in 94. But you couldn't get to that level. You didn't have a level like that in level 1. I think if you had a little bit more of that where you could not just constantly take damage. But then like in the shooting gallery stages, one of the bosses was a freaking automobile. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not that bad. It's just going to be a mobsters in a freaking, it looked like a Model T or something like that.
Yeah, it was a classic mobster scene of where you're supposed to use the Tommy gun and now hose down the car like, Bonnie
and Clyde.
Yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde. That's who it is.
Jekyll and Hyde. That's who it is. It's Jekyll and Hyde. But yeah, no. Again, not a mobster fan, but that's what it seemed like. It's like whenever that car shows up, you're like,
yes, that car
just unload.
That car was very iconic. But to me, why is the car the boss?
Yeah, it made no sense.
It wasn't no worse than the shit you had to go through to get to it. It's like, I feel like I like my lethal enforcers. Let the car go alongside you while you're shooting at it. And to me, you have normal enemies in this car.
Yeah, have them pop up or something like
and
that.
And then the stage that had the cable car boss, where it was just like literally a freaking cable car. And I'm like, this sucks. Like, the boss fights aren't even good.
The bosses were absolutely stupid, pretty much, to put it in a way. They made no sense. Like, why? Like, again, I understand, fine, unload on these areas, but at least give me some type of indicator as to why I'm shooting this.
Well, I'll just tell you, I hated this game from the moment I started up. Like, literally, in the first 30, and now there's been games in the first 30 seconds, I'm like, this isn't good. Oh, like No Escape. Oh, I seen the movie. I know why this is like this now. Or maybe I didn't do something right. Your gut feeling after 30 seconds of this game is how you'll feel about it. Like, that's the feeling you go with. And I just don't know how you call this good. So
I put too much time into this game playing it than what I would have really done in real life. Like, if I was just, somebody said, hey, play this game, I would have gave it a solid 45 minutes worth of gameplay and figured out that I fucking hate this game. I couldn't make it 45 minutes if I was just to put this in the game, in the system, and play it just like, hey, I've never played this game. I'm just going to play it for fun. I don't think I could make it 15 minutes tops. Well, I would have to try all the stages. I would have to try them. So that's why I said 45. But if I was to play this game on my own, dude, the first assignment that I played, the shooting gallery, would have been immediate dope.
Maybe I feel like the shooting gallery, I felt like they were trying to showcase that. But I feel like, man, if you would have put the platformer as the first stage, I bet they lost a lot of people on that first stage.
Oh, 100%.
Because what do you do? I mean, even when you could choose, I can almost guarantee, even though you can choose your level, you played the first level
first. You play assignment 1.
Yes.
Because that's the way the game is supposed to be.
What's happening? So, at the end of the day, I don't have a whole, I could keep going on. I think about this, but there's not anything positive I've got to say about it. No. I've hit all my high notes, but
the only thing I'm curious about is, could you have played the shooter gallery with a light gun?
Well, that's something to be said. But do you have anything you want to add into this before we?
No, I'm good.
All right, so we're done with Break It. Here is the question that I have on my mind while we talk about it. So you have watched the Untouchables movie.
I watched the movie. Did not watch the TV show.
How long ago have you watched the movie? Do you remember a whole lot about it?
I do not. It's been years.
Was it good or bad?
It was all right for a mobster movie. Okay. Again, mobster genre is not my favorite whatsoever.
Which would you say is better, the movie or the game?
The movie. 100%.
I've never seen the movie, and I would say the movie as well. So, basically, there wasn't a whole lot of trivia that I could find on this game, a lot on the TV show. So what I've got is I've got some reviews from game magazines and outlets. I've got a speed run, and then I've got pricing, Josh.
Okay, for one, speed run. Lay Hulk?
No.
Oh, well.
No, but Lay Hulk is funny just because of what we think of the name. This is an actual funny name.
Okay, I'm all for it then. I was about to say, if it's not Lay Hulk, I don't care anymore.
Do you want to hear the reviews first, or you want to hear the speed run?
I want to hear the reviews first. I'm excited for the reviews. Because the speed runs, I'm just going to be honest, are going to piss me off.
Okay, so there was only 2 speed runs, and it was like 10 seconds away from each other or something like that. I didn't credit the second person, because that was like 7 years ago, and it was like 2 years ago when somebody broke the record.
Okay.
But anyways, so I'm not going to use necessarily the magazines, just because I didn't write them down, but this was the reviews, and you can tell me if what you think of this review.
Okay.
Paul Rand, of whoever he was working for at the time, stated, "The Untouchable is a well-thought-out package which will find a niche of most people. Those who buy this will not be disappointed."
Okay, he's a liar.
Okay. I agree. Paul Rand, he sounds like a...
He sounds like a douche. He sounds like he was paid off.
I feel like he runs a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, I was saying, he sounds like he was paid off.
Here was another one. The Untouchable is a cracking conversion. Easily one of the most successful and accurate movie licenses to date.
No.
I agree.
No.
This one...
Well, hang on. Accurate as in, yeah, they do kill Al Capone in the end.
It is a mobster show accurate, yes.
Yeah, it's mobster show accurate and mobster show movie accurate, but no, I don't see that. So I guess he didn't really lie, but at the same time, no, I don't see it.
Okay, so this one's going to be maybe the most flamboyant. Like,
I like me some flamboyant.
I feel like somebody paid for this one, but I don't mean to skew your judgment.
Okay.
This game was called Great Stuff. Ocean has finally brought Chicago to life. Atmospheric title tune, beautifully detailed graphics, and challenging gameplay add up to one addictive mean game.
Okay, so he works for the company, and he just gave a false name.
He never played this game.
He never touched this game whatsoever.
Okay. Here is the one that I feel like you kind of touched on it, and I had to shut you down a little bit here. But I feel like this may have made the game palatable just because you would have fell into if you're calling this game a niche game, which I don't.
No.
This ain't a niche game. This is just a movie game.
It's barely a game.
But there are people that, and I probably fall into that would be a niche for a certain edition to the Super Nintendo. So this guy ranked this version a 5.8 out of 10. Which I still think is very high.
That's too high for what I would rank.
I feel like if you're a part of a magazine, though, you can't completely shit where you eat, you know?
Yeah. But I say, if I was, this would rank a solid 2 schmeckles out of 10.
It says, this title would have been better if it were to use, if it was Super Scope compatible. For it is a bit difficult to use the pad during these shooting sequences. Josh, the Super Scope was out. The Super Scope had been released. Yes, I love Super Scope games. Number one. If you would have gave me the Super Scope, now mind you, you could have gave me the freaking original NES light gun.
Yeah.
And that would have worked.
That's why.
But you know, there wasn't necessarily light gun for the Super Nintendo. Give me that Super Scope. Let me put that atrocity up on my shoulder.
That big RPG looking thing.
And let me shoot some damn mobsters. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's still going to be a bad game, but it's not going to be as bad.
It's at least a little bit palatable. At least you could beat the shooter galleries at that point.
This dude, when this game came out, he reviewed it like that. And it's like, today, you just mentioned it. Like, maybe if there was a use of a light gun. That's what he said then. Now, I'm sure there's other people that said it, and I'm sure it was money reasons why they didn't do it, or they just didn't care, or they were rushing to get it out. But yeah. Now I don't know. Maybe part of it would have been, you adding the light gun stage, then mix it with a controller stage. Maybe that would have been a little difficult, but I feel like you could have possibly made a light gun game out of this.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that too. I think 100%. And like I said, honestly, if you'd done it that way, the game would have been more palatable. It would have appeased more audience. It would have made more money that way.
I'm a niche Super Scope guy, so I would have probably defended this game a little bit. But as it is, it's hot garbage.
I never got to play with the Super Scope. I've only ever got to play with the light gun, which is weird since I'm 33. So I mean. But at the time, my uncle had the light gun. He had Duck Hunt. He had multiple other games like that.
Well, this next segment that's called Strange Flex, brought to you by George, is
okay.
I have a box light gun and a Trinitron, and by God, we are going to play some light gun games with some Super Scope games with the Super Scope.
I'm all for it. I will love that.
And I have fond memories. I have not played my Super Scope in many years. I will be devastated.
You hope it lives up?
It'd be like my wife had left me and the dogs ran away on the same day. Not because I left them out because they didn't like me.
Just because they didn't like you.
So, we're going to wrap this up. We're coming into the, I guess we forgot about ranking. We're going to do a speed run, and then we're going to do the process. So how long do you think it took somebody, just thinking out loud, on this game? Which, I feel like to me this was a long game, but to many people they could complete this game a lot quicker than me. How long do you think it would take to complete this game?
I agree. I think this game was set up for a long gameplay, to get your money's worth. Like I said, you rent it on a Friday, they want you to take all the way up until Sunday to get it.
To me, it would take me that long, but I think if you got good at this game, you could really breeze through it.
I agree too. So I think it'd be a solid one day. But speedrun people are a different breed of animal. And I'm going to take a wild stab here. Wild stab. I'm going to say 25 minutes. You could run through this entire game.
There were 2 speed runs. Both of them were under 25 minutes.
How?
So the second person, and I didn't write it down, but the speed run was for 22 minutes and 14 seconds. The second speed run, the one that I guess had held the record for years.
That holds the record?
It was like 22 minutes and like 30 seconds. I mean, it was pretty close.
Yeah.
So the name of the person holding the speed run record, it got a chuckle out of me.
Is it Big Dick Daddy from Cincinnati?
No, unusually close. So I feel like this name should be Guido. Guido, correct?
Yeah, Guido. That's
Guido.
what it sounds. That's what I would go.
Well, Guido, not only did you kick ass in this game, but you got an awesome name with no spaces of Guido Slapnuts.
I like it. I like it.
That's you know what? You earned it. You played a horrible game. You earned a record. We tipped the hat off to you, Slapnuts. Guido or not.
From here on out, I will refer to you besides Lay Holt.
Now, it could be Guido's Lapnuts. But to me, he's always going to be Slapnuts.
Yeah, he's Guido Slapnuts.
Because there's only 2 things you're going to slap is some nuts and that bass. Yeah. You got to slap at the bass.
The slap at the bass. Now, here's the thing. You know what? I hope one day we're popular enough to get Lay Hope and Guido to, Skype in, Teams in, something. Give us a phone call. Reach out to us.
Well, what's funny is Guido's got his gameplay uploaded on there so you can watch it. And, man, he's just like, oh, man, I'm shooting too late, too early. Like, there's way too much time on this game. And I applaud you because there's stupid games that I enjoy the shit out of. But, my God, this was a body of work you put together. Like, them 22 minutes and 14 seconds was probably like...
That's torture.
22 years of my life right there.
Yeah, and not only that, but look how long it took him to get that speed run. How many hours did he have to put into this game?
I feel like it's equivalent to them 22 minutes took him 22 years. That is probably completely unfair. But that's where I'm going. So
I think for 22 minutes and something would have probably been around at least 1,000 hours of gameplay.
All right. Gonna move on, Josh. You know what we're gonna hit? The pricing. Now, we're gonna talk about this. I don't want to give anything away. How much do you think this game costs? Let's just say a loose copy. You run into it over here at the dang Carm store.
If it's over $1, I'm not paying for this piece of shit.
Well, if I tried to tell you, hypothetically, that this game isn't that bad. It's just okay. You just didn't enjoy it. Maybe we didn't play it right. It's a vintage game in a vintage market that's through the roof. How much would you think this game costs?
Okay, now if I take all that into consideration, I say a solid 15.
I was thinking 15.
I would say a solid 15 for this game because they said vintage market. People would be buying vintage things. Vintage things are the collectibles now. So,
as Lee Corso would say, not so fast. You were wrong, sir.
How much is it? Throw it at me, Lee Corso.
So, there's a little variance on the loose versus the eBay and price charting. Loose on price charting, $34.79.
They're absolutely no.
eBay, the ones I was seeing, there was multiple copies, shipping included, $26 area.
No, I still disagree with that. No, like I said, this game at max, $15.
Could you imagine if I mean, this is a type of game to be honest, I'm a completionist guy. Now, I ain't going to complete any sets, but I want to complete sets. This is the type of game that I buy and I play, and I'm like, I'm done trying to complete stuff. Like,
this would be the turning point of you, like, what am I doing with my life?
Now, could you imagine if let's split the difference. If 34, 26, say it's $30. Can you imagine if you went on Xbox or PlayStation or Switch? It's like Switch. And you just want to download some vintage games. How many cool games you could get for $30 if you caught the right sale? But anyways.
You can buy every Legend of Zelda game at the right time for under $20.
So there wasn't a lot of complete copies on eBay that I seen. I seen one. Big variance between what eBay and Price Charting had. What do you think a complete copy?
I'm terrified. If you tell me that a loose copy is $35, God, I'm going to go with my normal rule, and I'm going to say almost 150, 175.
No, you're high. Price Charting says get a complete copy of this, and they have more. I trust Price Charting on this because they had more sales logged in. They said you're going to get a complete copy for $108.72. Now, I think there was one copy, maybe two. One copy, I think, that I seen sold on eBay. It was for $50. It's probably somebody that hasn't paid attention to the market, probably played this game, said this is god awful, get rid of this shit.
Yeah.
And it probably...
It was the guy that was like us that played it, says, what am I doing with my life? Let's get rid of my collection.
Now, eBay didn't have any new ones on there. And I feel like the step from loose to complete was a big jump. From complete... Now, I would say, if you try to sell me this game complete for $50... I'm not taking it. With it being a Super Nintendo game in which I have very few games that are in box at Super Nintendo, I would try to talk you down at 50. I'm not going to say that I'd buy it, but I might have a conversation. If you come down to $40, I'd probably
that's
buy
what I'd have the conversation, and I would shoot you at 40. I wouldn't hate myself if I paid $45.
You know what the coolest part of if you bought it for $45, that game would be?
What?
The cardboard. The cardboard would be better than that.
I bet you they had to do a really cool cardboard cover for it.
Even as a bad cardboard cover, it would still be better in the game.
It would have still been
So
better.
as a new sealed copy, which I didn't see none on eBay in the last 90 days, according to Price Charting, what do you think that is? It ends in an 01. A penny.
A penny?
A penny.
So their price is right in me right now.
Well, there's three numbers in front of that .01.
I know, but their price is right to me, because if you ever watch The Price is Right, you know, it's like, I'm going to say $2.50, and then the next person at the very end of the line says, I'm going to go $2.51, Bob.
Or $1.
Oh, yeah, or $1.
And that's got to be the boss move. They always like, I want it as $1.
Yeah.
Like you bring it down.
You do. You bring it down.
So with that one penny, what's the three numbers in front of that penny?
I'm going to say $2.15.
No. Now, you went from a loose copy to complete on Price Charting. Now, it doubled on eBay, but I think eBay's probably a little skewed on that. Probably more where it should be. You went $70 up to a complete copy, and you literally went like $62 up for a new copy. $170.01. I know I wouldn't spend $170 on it.
Absolutely.
I would not spend. Let's just say this. We're going to hit the average. I can give you this game, Josh. I say, here it is. Your price is right. You got $30. Let's just round it to even. $30 Untouchables, or I'll give you $15 cash.
I'm taking the cash.
You know what? You're not wrong.
I'd have to take the cash on this.
To me, because I don't have this game, I would probably take the game, and then I'd proceed to tell you how stupid I am for not
for not taking the cash.
Like, this is the type of game, and my guess is why it's so expensive is because it was at the end of the life cycle.
Yeah,
probably production issues, not issues. I guess wasn't wide production.
Yeah, they didn't make enough,
and plus, it didn't deserve to have that many made. So this, I feel like, other than the rarity of maybe production, this is a game that I feel like I would find at one of the junk stores for $2.
100%, yeah.
And $2, you're just buying it because it's $2, and to complete something because it's not worth playing even at $2.
No, it's not. That's $1. This game isn't even worth it. Like this game, by far, this game We're about to jump into the rankings.
You're right. I've got
So
the rankings.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you this.
It's not on your Mount Rushmore?
But, absolutely not. This motherfucker is number 13 out of 13.
So this is the list that Josh has going for 13. Family Feud, Silly Putty, Jeopardy Sports, Fatal Fury, Time Slip, Mr. Nuts, Dracula, Roger Clemens, No Escape, Dragon View, Kid Cleats. And man, Obidus was pretty bad. So you're telling me without a doubt that you're putting the Untouchables at number 13 under Obidus?
Under Obidus, because what Obidus done, Obidus was an MS-DOS game that got ported over. I could understand how bad that game was. But this game was specifically designed for the SNES. So therefore, I'm ranking it at the lowest because the SNES was already, it was close to the end of the life cycle of this game. So therefore, they had, the $1 Million Man. We had the technology. We can make him better, faster, stronger. And they took the $1 Million Man and turned him into a chunk of wood.
I'll tell you this, and this kind of puts, if you pay attention to the rankings, let me just read mine. Number 1 is Jeopardy Sports, Mr. Nuts, Dragon View, Time Slip, Family Feud, No Escape at 6, Dracula, Silly Putty, Fatal Fury, Kid Cleats, Obidus, Roger Clemens. This game was released in 1994, Josh, after a movie and a freaking TV show. And these simple, horrible Amiga games that we played was better than this.
Agreed.
We're talking about games. Some of these were made in the freaking 80s that was ported over.
It was better.
And it was not even just better. It was a lot better.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, my last Amiga game is Obidus at number 11.
Your last...
And then, so you're going to say, the question is it going to be number 12 or 13 on this list? And I have a very big hatred for Roger Clemens. And I've been going back and forth on this.
Give me your hatred. Agree with me. Channel the dark side. As Emperor Palpatine says, let the hate follow through you.
I'll go ahead and tell you.
Do it. Do it now.
I was close to wanting to... I've been thinking about it because I knew that it's down there. And Obidus isn't great, but it's older too.
Exactly, my point. It was an MS-DOS game that got ported over.
Yes, so I don't feel like I don't feel like Obidus is necessarily a stupid game. It might have been a little ignorant at today's day and age because of what you were dealing with. The question is, I really hated Roger Clemens. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, this might be number 13 on the list for me. And I'm like, I don't know, Roger Clemens was really bad. And I'm like, we're talking about some really bad games, Josh, and you may have actually swayed me in this episode one way, whether you know it or not, because you brought in a great point of at least you had the Bash Bros. You had Bambi for Rob Deere. You at least had...
You had the Wizard? Come on!
You're right. Untouchables is number 13.
Yes!
The Untouchables. And now that I'm thinking about it...
We agreed on at least one of these.
The Untouchables might not even be close to Roger Clemens. Now, if you're talking 700 and something games, I still, I would put $100 that Roger Clemens for me is going to be in the 700 range. 700 down. The Untouchables is making me question this. With this game being released in 1994, what other really bad games are there?
Exactly. This was at the end of the cycle. The Super Nintendo, there was multiple people that already dialed in on how to make a great game. And these dudes just failed across every aspect of that game.
Let me just quick. I gotta give you 5 things. Okay. You tell me, would you rather play Untouchables or fold laundry?
I'd fold laundry.
Do dishes.
I'll do the dishes.
Mow the yard.
Yep. Mow the yard. Clean out the gutters? Do it.
What about jump off 411 bridge? Onto the concrete, not the water.
Oh, onto the concrete? Yeah, I'd lose a leg.
I might go Untouchables there, but you're right. I would rather do house chores. I feel like this game should live on is when your kids are bad, make them play this game.
Yeah, like I could like I don't think that if I was sitting there with me and my wife and I was playing this game for our research, that's why I classify this stuff as is this is research. I'd be sitting there playing it, and she goes, "Hey, babe, can you get up and cook me, like a grilled cheese, bacon, or whatever?" And I go, "I can't. I'm in the middle of this.
Right.
Can you get up and do it?" It's be like, "Yeah, sure. You want pizza with that too? Do you want me to fold the laundry?" Like, I'd find every excuse I could to not play this damn game.
I would possibly go this far to say, would I rather play this game for 1 hour or work 1 hour over at work that I don't get paid for? I may work.
I'm working. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
straight up working.
Yes. All right.
Straight up.
Avoid at all costs, I think, is the that now. I feel like you've worked very hard to get to number 13. Like,
You had to.
Roger Clemens just got gut punched and got deboed. Like it got taken. Is there a game worse than this on this system, Josh?
I don't know. Like I said,
There's got to be. There's
like
got to
I
be.
said, what we are taking into consideration of the time, the era which it was made. We're trying to be fair. We're trying to be as fair as possible. And the only way I think this game could get booted up from being dead last is if you give me a game at the end of not even at the end, at the peak of the SNES era that was absolutely dog shit.
So I guess at the end of the day, you tell us, what do you think is worse than Untouchables? I feel like you have to download and play Untouchables. It's avoid at all costs. Play Untouchables and tell me what other Super Nintendo games are worse than this. Because I don't know.
I don't either. And I mean, we'll eventually...
I didn't know with Roger Clemens, but we found out.
We will eventually get there. And the thing is here's my big selling point of view about the Roger Clemens thing. You paid money to get a copy of it.
I got pretty much a mostly complete except for the poster copy. If I'm remembering right, for $19.99. If I could get Untouchables for $19.99, I would buy it. I wouldn't be proud about it. I wouldn't volunteer it, but when you looked at the game shelf and say, "What is this crap?" I'll be like, "Yeah." What did people say on Facebook? I'd be like, "I did a thing."
I did a thing. And then I'd have to question you, like, how much did that cost you? And you'd be ashamed to admit how much it was.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't admit it to be $40, but if I got it for $20, I wouldn't feel good about it. And you'd be like, "You're an idiot," and I'd be like, "Yep, it's the disease.
It's the disease." Because like I said, I have that same disease with comic books. So I mean,
all right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. We went long. This got way more speak. We spoke about this game more than you should ever play it. You love this game? Let us know. If not, let us know what game's worse than this, because I don't know.
If you love this game, I want you on this podcast so we can discuss why.
So
I will argue with you as to why you are wrong.
I'm making a bold prediction. We're going to wrap it up right here. I think episode 14, we're going to get a game better than Untouchables.
Dude, I'm not arguing with you on that one. I'm not arguing with you at all now.
We are not getting the worst game we've ever played for episode 14.
No, there's no way. There's no way.
Well, I'm out. I've got more than I ever want to talk about at this game. Hopefully it gets forgotten about. The hard copy's gone. It gets purged from existence. Nothing good to say about it. I'm leaving it on that note, Josh.
I agree. I'm done too. This is it. So see y'all later.
Peace.